Have you ever imagined waking up, opening your eyes, and not remembering your own name? Not because you were injured, not because you were sick, but because every midnight, your memories simply disappeared. You don't recognize your family. You don't know where you live. You stare into the mirror, looking at a face that somehow feels familiar, yet belongs to a complete stranger. At first, it sounds like the beginning of a science fiction movie, but hidden inside that terrifying idea is one of the deepest truths about being human. Because memory isn't just something you have. Memory is the invisible thread that holds your entire life together. Without it, you wouldn't simply lose your past. You would lose yourself. Imagine an ordinary morning. Your alarm rings. You know exactly what that sound means. You remember where your bedroom door is. You know how to brush your teeth, how to tie your shoes, how to make breakfast, without consciously thinking about any of it. Thousands of tiny memories quietly guide every movement. Now remove them. Suddenly, even holding a spoon becomes a mystery. You wouldn't know which food is safe. You wouldn't recognize danger. You wouldn't understand language. Every sunrise would feel like the first day of your existence. Every single day, you would have to become human all over again. It sounds impossible. Yet in a way, every newborn begins life exactly like this. A baby isn't born knowing how to speak. It doesn't know who its parents are. It doesn't understand fire, food, or fear. Everything that makes us human must first be learned, and every lesson depends on one extraordinary ability, the ability to remember. Long before cities, before writing, before the first farms appeared, memory was humanity's greatest survival tool. Imagine living 100,000 years ago. A hunter discovers that bright red berries growing beside a certain river make people violently sick. One mistake is enough. Without memory, the tribe repeats that mistake forever. Now imagine another hunter discovers a hidden valley where food grows every summer. If no one remembers the path, the discovery disappears with the setting sun. Civilization never begins with invention. It begins with remembering the invention. This simple ability changed everything. Our ancestors didn't become powerful because they were the fastest animals. They weren't. They didn't survive because they had the sharpest teeth. They didn't. They survived because knowledge could outlive experience. One person learned, another remembered. The next generation improved it, then passed it forward again. Little by little, human knowledge stopped disappearing with each lifetime. It began to grow, like a snowball rolling downhill. Every memory became the foundation for another discovery. Fire led to cooking. Cooking led to larger brains. Larger brains led to better tools. Better tools led to farming. Farming led to cities. Cities led to civilization. Every chapter of human history depended on one invisible ability. Remembering yesterday, so tomorrow could become something better. But memory does something even stranger. It creates identity. Think about the person you believe you are. Maybe you're kind, maybe you're ambitious, maybe you're funny, maybe you're afraid of failure. How do you know any of that? Because your brain has been quietly collecting evidence your entire life. Every success, every mistake, every friendship, every heartbreak, every embarrassing moment, every proud achievement. Together, they become a story, and that story becomes you. Remove those memories, and who remains? That question has fascinated scientists and philosophers for centuries. If every memory disappeared tonight, would you still be the same person tomorrow? Or would someone entirely new wake up inside your body? The answer is far more unsettling than it first appears. Scientists have searched for that answer by studying people who unexpectedly lost parts of their memory. Some could no longer remember faces. Others forgot entire years of their lives. A few could remember their childhood, but forgot everything that happened yesterday. These rare cases revealed something extraordinary. Memory isn't stored in one single place. It's woven throughout the brain like an enormous web. One part helps you remember facts, another stores skills, another preserves emotions. Even when one piece is damaged, others may remain surprisingly intact. That's why someone might forget your name, yet still know how to ride a bicycle. Or fail to recognize their own home, while instinctively reaching for the light switch. Your brain doesn't simply save memories. It organizes them, protects them, and quietly rebuilds them every time you remember. In fact, every memory you recall changes slightly. It's less like opening a photograph and more like repainting a picture from memory. Each time, small details shift. Some disappear, others become stronger, which means the story you tell yourself about your life is constantly being rewritten. Without realizing it, you are editing your own identity every day. Now imagine midnight arrives. Every memory vanishes. The next morning, your parents become strangers. Your closest friend becomes just another face. The promises you made yesterday mean nothing. Love itself becomes impossible. Not because emotions disappear, but because relationships cannot survive without shared memories. Trust must be remembered. Kindness must be remembered. Forgiveness must be remembered. Without memory, every conversation becomes the first conversation. Every goodbye, the first goodbye. Human society would begin collapsing almost immediately. Schools would have no purpose. No one could remember what they learned. Doctors couldn't remember medicine. Engineers couldn't remember how bridges were built. Pilots couldn't remember how to fly. Even reading these words would become impossible, because language itself depends on memory. Every midnight, civilization would reset. Humanity would wake up surrounded by incredible machines, without the slightest idea how any of them worked. Within days, cities would become silent. Power stations would stop. Food supplies would disappear. Technology wouldn't fail because it broke. It would fail because nobody remembered how to use it. For thousands of years, our greatest inventions have never truly been buildings, or computers, or rockets. They've been memories passed from one mind to another. Every generation stands on knowledge remembered by the one before it. Without that invisible chain, history begins again every sunrise. Yet memory has another secret. Forgetting is just as important. Imagine remembering every face you've ever seen, every conversation, every number, every sound, every disappointment, every painful moment. Your mind would become overwhelmed. The brain survives not only by remembering, but by deciding what to let go. Forgetting isn't always failure. Sometimes it's protection. Sometimes it's healing. Sometimes it's the reason you can keep moving forward. The real miracle isn't that your brain remembers everything, it's that it remembers enough. Enough to recognize the people you love. Enough to avoid yesterday's mistakes. Enough to build a future instead of starting over. Every morning, you wake carrying invisible treasures collected across thousands of ordinary days. The first word you ever spoke. The bicycle you finally learned to ride. The face of someone who changed your life. The lesson that once came from failure. None of those moments seem extraordinary while they're happening. Yet together, they quietly become the person staring back from the mirror. Perhaps that's why memories feel so precious. They're more than recordings of the past. They're the raw material from which identity is built. Every decision you make, every hope you carry, every fear you overcome is influenced by experiences your brain refused to let disappear. Even your dreams borrow pieces from memories. Faces become unfamiliar. Places become distorted. Conversations become impossible. Yet somewhere beneath the strange images, your brain is still sorting through yesterday, deciding what deserves to remain and what can safely fade away. In a strange way, every night your mind performs a careful balancing act. It protects the memories that help you survive. It softens the ones that hurt. It strengthens the lessons worth keeping. Without that invisible work, your future would slowly lose its foundation. Perhaps the greatest invention in human history was never fire, never the wheel, never electricity. It was the remarkable ability to carry yesterday into tomorrow. Because civilization is not built from stone. It's built from remembered ideas. Families are not held together by blood alone. They're held together by shared experiences. And your life is not measured only by the number of days you live. It's measured by the moments your mind chooses to keep. So the next time you remember a familiar voice, a childhood smell, or the laughter of someone you haven't seen, pause for a moment. Your brain has protected that tiny piece of your life through millions of years of evolution. It carried it across time, so you could still be you. Maybe that's the real miracle of memory. Not that it allows us to look backward, but that it quietly gives us the chance to keep becoming ourselves, one remembered day at a time.